Every Monday is $9 Mondays over at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Get any best bet or daily package for only $9.
Welcome to Bet On It, the Monday Night Football edition. Yep, we're going to be in a good mood this week. I know I have still have my best bet pending for tonight, and we'll get into that in a minute. But we had an awesome weekend. I got tweets abundant. Sorry to the guy in the YouTube channel who said he was going to fade us. Was not a good look for him. I think he would have went 1-15 if I'm correct. Anyway, those are just like little stats and figures that don't matter. Let's bring in Marco and VR. Welcome, gentlemen. We actually have 3 games, 2 Monday night games, well, Monday afternoon here on the West Coast, and a Tuesday game to talk about. So let's get right into it. Marco D'Angelo, I'm going to start with you first because, well, you already have your Steelers jersey underneath of your undercoat, your coat jacket there. You cracked me up. All right. We kind of touched on this game a little bit because I gave out the Washington football team as my best bet plus 10. Earlier in the week, we talked about Washington plus 10. Marco, I know you have a plus 10 in your pocket. Steelers are now down to -6 total, 43.5. What are we going to do with this game?
Well, Kelly, I'm sitting with the sandwich game on Washington with you as well with that 10. And, we said that line was going to change on Wednesday after the games came out, and it did. But we didn't expect it to change as much as it has. As you said, we went from 10 to 6. What's different? Well, here's what's different. Let's start with the fact, yes, it's a short week for Pittsburgh. That's why we knew there was going to be an adjustment coming down once people actually saw Pittsburgh play and so forth. And, better heads would prevail. And they're going to look at it and say, hey, they're at a huge disadvantage playing Wednesday. That was a physical game against the Baltimore Ravens. They always are. And now they got to come back and play the following week on a Monday. So, yes, it's a disadvantage for the Steelers. But in that game, the Steelers suffered another big injury. If you remember earlier in the season, Devin Bush went out for the season for the Steelers. Now they've lost another linebacker. And the reason this one is so bad, Bud Dupree, he's a beast on the outside. You've got TJ Watt on one side of the line for the Steelers and Dupree on the other. They were the best tandem in the NFL, top 2, I should say, with getting sacks and pressures on the quarterback. Because what happens is if you can only double team one of them, you can't double team them both. And that leaves the other one coming single cover, single blocking schemes, and are getting to the quarterbacks and wrecking havoc on them. Now they're going to be just double teaming TJ Watt. So that's going to slow the Steeler defense down. In addition to that, offensively, the Steelers are going to be without Marquise Pouncey. People underestimate the value of offensive linemen, especially centers. That's a huge problem. He's the one that's in charge of calling out the blocking schemes for the offensive linemen. That could put some pressure on Big Ben. Speaking of Big Ben, he's coming into the game with a roughed up knee. He was listed as, questionable during the week, but he was always going to play. But his mobility, which isn't that great to start with, is going to be limited. And then the last thing, I don't know who's kicking, okay? We signed a kicker to the practice squad this week, and he will be, given the job game time because it doesn't look like Chris Boswell is going to be able to go for the Steelers with a hip injury. So it's tough to kick field goals in Heinz Field to begin with, especially in the one end of the field. So that could be an adventure for the Steelers as well. Consequently, what do we have? A 4-point line move down to 6. A lot of it is some sharp money. They're on the Washington side. We all agreed. Well, you did and I did. I don't know where Ace is on this game yet. But for me, Kelly, now with all of that said and all of the line movements, I still don't see Washington going in and beating the Steelers. So to me, there's tremendous value in coming back with a teaser the other way. We're asking Pittsburgh to just win. And if they don't blow out Washington, which I don't see them getting separation with the problems to the defense and the offense, we can cash both tickets. And that's what I'm doing. I've got a live teaser that closes up from yesterday, which I told you I had Cleveland every which way, around you could have yesterday and so forth. And we also teased New England. So we've got a live teaser going to Pittsburgh tonight.
All right, VR, I know that you get to see lots of sharp information all the time. I was sitting in John Murray's office last night, and he goes, man, it looks like the Redskins is one of the sharper sides I've seen in a long time. Tons of respected guys bet this early, and he said he even saw sharp money come in again at 7.5 and 7. First, I'd like you to talk about what you're seeing in your accounts, and then I want you to kind of talk about a little teaser situation possibly with this game.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you this. I'm seeing two-way action as far as guys I respect. Murray's on point 100%. The betting syndicate's lined up on the Washington Redskins side, and that's why we've seen this line move towards that direction, even though they are the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers. Now sitting at 6, though, I think books are seeing some good two-way action, at least from the public. Here's what I can tell you. I wasn't surprised to see sharp money come in on Washington. Here's why. The analytics guys have been saying this for the last couple of weeks, that Pittsburgh's overvalued, meaning, yes, they're undefeated. Yes, they look to be arguably the best team in the NFL, but their analytics don't completely support this, meaning they've had things go their way. They're number one in turnovers. They've won pretty much every one-score game. And there's a lot of randomness to an outcome such as that. And I think that's where you're seeing the sharp lining up against Pittsburgh. I don't think it's a play on Washington. I think it's more a play against Pittsburgh, who they believe is overvalued. Now, the love for Washington, I believe, is well-deserved because it's guys who love this team's defense. And we know when it comes to analytics, guys, they're high on backing teams like that, regardless of record. And when you see Washington top 5 VOA defensively, rest assured, that's the kind of team that sharp bettors, betting syndicates like to back, especially in the underdog role. And that's why you are seeing a difference of opinion here. And I could say with certainty that guys that I respect are on both sides of this game as far as Washington and Pittsburgh goes. I'm supposed to be on the Washington side. My biggest source, my most trusted NFL source is on Washington. Took Washington at 7, took Washington plus 6.5. I haven't given that to my subscribers because something in my gut doesn't like it. And I yesterday I didn't trust it, and that was my only loss. Not the tell. I went 11-1 yesterday. And going into the afternoon games, the only game I had pending was the Seattle Seahawks minus 10. And then I had Denver plus 14. And I was waiting to see how the afternoon games did first. Anyway, make a long story short, something didn't sit right with that Seattle game, and I was ready to buy it back. There were only 5 minutes to go before kickoff. I said, I can't do that to my subscribers. And I took the L for it. And right now, there's just some intuitively, and I can't even tell you what it is exactly, that tells me not to bet the Pittsburgh Steelers today. That even though, not to bet the Washington Redskins today, that even though my most trusted NFL source bet the Washington Redskins and had me bet it for him, even though I take a percentage of that bet and want to see him win. And usually I piggyback that and would use that for subscribers. I just can't do it because, again, that red flag, and I got to trust my gut. But I did bet the total, and I did it earlier, but I have a premium. I betted it over 42. It's at 43.5. It's on you whether you think there's still value or not. I think at 43, I would definitely still bet it. 43.5, why not? Two good defenses. I said it before, I'll say it again. Usually the perfect storm for an over, turnovers, coupled with the shaded bias towards a lower scoring game. So my money's on the over. Again, I bet that earlier in the week. And a lot of times that's what happens. I didn't even, yesterday, I didn't even give out the Colts. I used the Colts all week. I used them on this show as my steam. I used them as a best bet on other shows. And I thought I gave them out. And I do my results yesterday. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't give out the Colts. And I remembered I bet the Colts at -3, but they went to 3.5 right away. And I didn't want to give them out at 3.5. I said, I'll wait till later in the week. Houston money's going to come in. I'll be a subscribers at a better number. And I forgot all about not giving it out. So that happens. And in this case, I'm on the over. If you agree with me, again, it's on you. That's the only bet I have going into this one. Sharp guys are on Washington. Ace is going to sit that side out because something tells them Steelers may come in and get this done.
Okay, so before we get to the next Monday night game, VR, I wanted to ask you, Marco had mentioned the Steelers just to win. We put them in a teaser. I have the Niners in a teaser pending from the Seattle Seahawks last Monday night. And I also was beginning to look at maybe now that the Bills are up to 2 at Pinnacle, do I want to put the Bills in a teaser and have a huge middle for this other game that I don't really care about? So first question, this regarding the Steelers, do you think they're worth putting in a teaser at this point, or do you actually think there's a chance that Washington can spring the upset?
100%. I would, if I bet this, if I release a premium play on top of that over, it's going to be a teaser with the Steelers. Okay. Rest assured, it'll come in on Steelers at a pick 'em, and it'll be even an open-end teaser, and I'll fill it in later in the week with the later game. Because based on my power rating, I think that's a good side. In your second game, I think that's a great idea. Because again, the goal is to place when you just got to go through match. All you is opening a it don't matter how you move on.
I think VR is having a little bit of technical difficulties. Apologies about that. I'll have him refresh his screen. We'll get him back here in just a second. Buffalo opened a 2.5-point favorite. As we mentioned, VR and Marco both gave out San Francisco in their teasers on the show, so they have that pending. I piggybacked them as well. Now we've got Buffalo up to 2 at some prominent offshores like Pinnacle and Bet Online. I'm kind of wondering if I want to, let's say, have a teaser middle of sorts. It looks like we got VR back. So VR, I'll have you finish touching on what you were talking about in regards to the Bills and the 49ers.
If you could have a middle teaser, that's a great bet to place. I hope it's somewhere in between. And of course, you can't lose both. And with this total sitting at where it is, I don't think it's a bet, Cal. I like that side. If you're asking me what I'm going to tell you right away off the bat, I don't have a single bet on Buffalo or the 49ers over or under. Probably will get involved between now and kickoff. I just don't have much information on it. None of the groups that I work with have gotten involved yet on that game. I'd be surprised, though, if they didn't, especially seeing how that line's been moving throughout the week. When that happens, I usually see some stuff come in late. Meaning if they're doing that to a line, there's a reason for it. The best is probably yet to come. And looking at this game, as far as action so far, I've seen good two-way action. Other than the over looks like one-sided money, it looks like pretty good two-way action. So the line moves looks more or less simply news related, all the COVID, all that type of information. And personally, I don't know how to quantify that. I don't know what it's worth. I'm not even going to act like I do. And that's what I see here. So for me, it's been a pass so far, and I don't even want to waste anyone's time. I leaned San Francisco. I leaned under. I have confirmation to back either of those opinions with money. All
right. Marco, your thoughts on this game? As I mentioned, you have the Niners pending in a teaser. Do you think it's worth maybe throwing the Bills in a teaser with your Pittsburgh Steelers?
Well, it's plus EV, Kelly, with where the line's at. We talk about it all the time. And I love when we get these games where they start with one side as the favorite and we figure they're going to go to the other side. And that's why we jumped on the 49ers right away, because we felt that the line, based on what happened last week with the 49ers getting the upset over the Rams, that we were going to see action come to the 49ers. There was also some question of where the game was going to be played. This game has been moved. It's not, in San Francisco. This game is being played in Arizona, Glendale. And obviously, it's a home neutral, but generally whenever it is a place that somebody plays at, they're familiar with the surroundings because it's a division spot. So there's still some advantage to them. And obviously proximity is closer
Marco, not
to
to
them.
cut you off. Sorry, quick question there. So the Bills just played in the stadium 2 weeks ago against the Cardinals.
Yeah, I was going there. They want to get that bad taste out of their mouth, because the last time they were here, they got hell Murray'd on the final play of the game. Thank you very much. I was on Arizona money line in that game, and it saved my my chubby little butt. And they want to get that out of their mind. But Kelly, yes, particularly for plus EV, we talk about it anytime. When you can get a small dog and take them through the key numbers of 3, 4, 6, and 7, that's always plus EV. And this game presents that you can do that for both teams. Early, you got it with the Niners. Late, you get it with the Bills. But what makes it even better of a deal is this is a game that's got a total of, you're a low total. You're in the upper 40s, which that's a low total in 2020. So points are expected to be at a premium. That makes those points even more valuable when you're going through the key numbers. Now, with that said, what do I like in this game? Well, when we talked about the 49ers originally, we pointed out that this is a bad scheduling spot for Buffalo. They got to go cross country, play a game on a Monday night, and they've got a monster game next week. You're going to say, well, why is that one so big? Yeah, it's a primetime game. They're playing on Monday Night Football this week. I get that. But next week's in Buffalo. Buffalo doesn't seem to get a lot of those primetime games in their building. And then to get it against what could be the last remaining undefeated team, if the Steelers get through today, makes it even bigger. So they are going to have one eye down the road for the game next week. But when it comes to offense, obviously, if you look at this game and you lean to Buffalo, you're going to lean more to the over because of the two sides of the ball that are on the field. The offense is the much better addition of the Buffalo Bills. They can move the football and they can move it against anybody. The problem has been their defense that hasn't been able to stop a lot of teams this year. So for me, I'm looking at the over in this game. I think they are going to score points. The 49ers are coming off a big win of their own. They can't afford to sit around and feel, good about themselves, fat and sassy after last week's win, because they're only 5-6. They need to get to 500 to have a shot, and that's always a motivational factor. But each game that Nick Mullings plays, he gets more comfortable with the offense, and they open up the playbook a little bit more. And against this Buffalo Bill defense, I think you're going to see both teams score. I'm going to really go out on a limb and call it Buffalo 28-27 as far as the game goes. But if you add those numbers up, that means I'm going on the over. I lean to the over here for my official play here.
All right, Marco, I love those 1-point games. Let's head to Tuesday night. Dallas at Baltimore. Baltimore opened a 10-point favorite. Now we're seeing a 7.5 at Circa, 8.5 at Westgate, some 9s offshore. So kind of some variance there. Looks like 45 across the board. There is one lone 45.5. Your thoughts on the Tuesday night game?
Well, Kelly, you saw all weekend long the big favorites that look like on paper should roll did not roll. Okay. Everybody was in dogfights except Green Bay, but actually Green Bay put, fourth quarter score in there to get the separation, but everybody else struggled. And I think you're going to see that again with Baltimore. Do you really want Baltimore on a short week off of the Pittsburgh Steelers game, given all the problems they had last week? And they played their guts out. And I commend them for the performance that they had, but still they lost to the Steelers. right now they're on the outside looking in at the playoffs. And for a team that went from the best record in the NFL last year to getting bounced in the first round of the playoffs to what is unraveled for them right now in this season, I can't trust them laying points. And I'm going to give a public service announcement. If they somehow lose this game, I think this team becomes a fade the rest of the way, because this is a perennial playoff team that's not going to be in the playoffs. And and I think this is something that you're going to have to look at in a lot of teams that, usually are playoff teams, given the circumstances of everything that's gone on this year. It's even easier to toss the towel, so to speak. So watch for that moving forward with Baltimore. But for this game, the extra prep time, they almost got an extra bye week. In essence, is what Dallas got. They played on Thursday, Thanksgiving, and now they don't play till Tuesday. Tremendous advantage to them. And who knows, with all that extra time, I think Mike McCarthy might have a couple plays to, run a fake punt from your own side of the field, maybe on 4th and forever, and, you're only down one possession. That would be a great time to do something. Oh, wait, maybe he already did that. Okay, scratch that. They won't do that. Maybe they'll actually win a game. I'm going to take the Cowboys plus the points here. I think there's too much value.
I think there is a lot of value with the Cowboys plus the points, and that's why I think we've seen money come in on them. VR, two-part question. One, have you seen them in any big-time Cowboys plays in your accounts? And two, since we are on the teaser topic, the Ravens look like they could be a possible teaser play. Marco says they're on upset alert. What do you think about the Tuesday night game?
The opposite. A couple books that brought out Baltimore short got bet up. They brought it out 7.5, I think, at -105 and got hit up all the way to 8.5. Again, 8's not one of those key numbers, but it did go the Baltimore way, at least from the opener, not the 2-week or, look ahead line. And I kind of agree with that. Here's the bottom line. It does look like it's all stacked against the Baltimore Ravens in this matchup. And I'm in no rush to go out there and lay 8.5 points with them. The difficulty with betting against these NFC East teams is that even though they're well below NFL average, they still have a reason to show up, meaning that division's still pretty open. You go on a run, any team's still viable. And that makes it a little more difficult for these bad teams. Do they really have a reason still to show up? Some of them still do. I think the value here looks square, but it looks like Baltimore teaser, and get out ahead of it before it crosses that number where the value's completely gone. Because if it gets to 9, it's dead. The Baltimore teaser is no longer an option. So for me right now, we got to give a play on the show. I'm saying you tease Baltimore down to -2.5, and you start looking at who you want to lock them in with, because I do think that's a good bet. I do think power rating wise, Baltimore, who's lost now 3 of their last 4 games at home, and I believe 2 straight, power rating wise are definitely a touchdown better than Dallas. And now I'm getting a team that's in dire need of a win. We know, at least on paper, and even has shown on the field, to be better than Dallas this season, to where they just have to win the game. Again, it sounds square. I'm looking to place decent bets, but that looks like a good bet to me. I don't really see where else to go with that game right now. And again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to bring nothing to the table, but if I don't back my opinion with money, I don't know what to tell you. I don't want you to. I could tell you to bet George Washington or Morehead State today. I back those opinions with money, but not Dallas Baltimore yet. But I do think Baltimore teaser makes some sense to me.
Sorry, hurrying up and betting George Washington and Morehead State before the lines change. Going to be a little late to closing out the show. No, all jokes aside, thank you to Marco. Thank you to VR. Hopefully these teasers catch. I'm on the Bills in a teaser, Niners from earlier in the week on a teaser, Pittsburgh in a teaser, and now the Ravens in a teaser. So this is going to be really fun. Make sure you guys head over to our WagerTalk YouTube channel. Check out all of our other videos on these games, and we will see you guys on Wednesday, bright and early, for the Wednesday edition of Bet On It. Until then, good luck on your wagers.
Every Monday is $9 Mondays over at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. Get any best bet or daily package for only $9.